Hello, amazing students. Welcome to English with Sophie. Are you fluent, but still don't sound natural? Let's find out why today. I analyzed conversations from 100 native English speakers and discovered the 7 habits that separate fluent learners from truly natural speakers. Keep track of which habits you're already using and which ones will transform your English. If you're currently using fewer than 3 of these habits, your English probably sounds correct but foreign. But here's the exciting part. You can change that starting today. Ready? Let's test your natural English level right now. You're fluent, yet people still hear that you're not from here. You know thousands of words. Your grammar is nearly perfect. You can watch movies without subtitles and hold long conversations. But something gives you away. Native speakers can tell within seconds that English isn't your first language. It's not your accent. Plenty of natives have strong regional accents. It's not your vocabulary. You probably know words that many natives don't. So what is it? The difference isn't in your knowledge. It's in your identity as a speaker. You've learned English as a subject, not absorbed it as a self. This isn't a language problem. It's a transformation waiting to happen. Let's uncover why fluency alone can still sound foreign. You've worked hard, memorized rules, and corrected yourself 1,000 times. You've completed textbooks, passed exams, and earned certificates. You've watched countless YouTube lessons and practiced speaking exercises. You can explain grammar rules that confuse even some native speakers. You pause before speaking to mentally check your sentence structure. You replay conversations in your head, catching your mistakes hours later. This dedication has given you control over English. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Knowledge builds control, but control kills flow. When you think too much, you sound mechanical. To sound natural, you have to let go of mastery and find rhythm instead. And rhythm begins with what natives do instinctively without thinking about rules at all. You were taught to speak correctly, but correctness is the cage that traps your natural voice. Your teachers praised accuracy. They marked every mistake in red pen. They taught you that good English means perfect English. So you learned to speak carefully, constructing each sentence like a fragile tower. You avoid contractions because they seem too casual. You use complete sentences even in relaxed conversations. You sound like a textbook, not a person. But watch how natives actually communicate. They break rules constantly. They start sentences and change direction mid-thought. They use fragments, interruptions, and unfinished phrases. Natives don't chase grammar perfection. They chase connection with their listener. You don't need more accuracy. You need freedom to sound human. So how do we untrain that rigid classroom voice? Most learners still think word by word, translating from their native language before speaking. But natives filter everything through intention, what they mean to accomplish with their words. Are they persuading someone, softening bad news, making a joke, showing enthusiasm, building rapport? Every native speaker subconsciously asks, "What am I trying to do here?" before choosing words. This is habit 1, speak for intention, not translation. Instead of thinking, "How do I say this correctly?" Ask yourself, "What am I trying to make this person feel or do?" Watch what happens. If your intention is to excite someone, your word choices automatically become more dynamic. If you want to soften a refusal, gentle phrases naturally emerge. When you speak for intent, your sentences reshape themselves without conscious effort. And when intent leads your speech, music follows naturally. Your rhythm betrays your effort. Every language has its own music, its patterns of stress, speed, and melody. When you speak English with your native language's rhythm, you sound foreign even with perfect grammar. Native English breathes in phrases, not punctuation. Listen, "I'm thinking about going to the store later if you want to come." A learner might stress each word equally, pausing at commas. A native creates a wave, rising on thinking, flowing quickly through, about going to the store, then emphasizing later and want to come. They group words into chunks, not individual units. You don't perform English by pronouncing each word carefully. You play it like an instrument with flow and feeling. But what gives that rhythm its soul? What makes the difference between mechanical rhythm and human rhythm? You sound polite but flat, like reading a script without emotion. Here's what most courses won't tell you. Native rhythm rides on emotion, not correctness. The same sentence can sound friendly, sarcastic, annoyed, or excited based entirely on emotional coloring. "That's interesting" can mean "Wow, tell me more," or "I'm bored but being polite." The words are identical. The emotion transforms everything. This is habit 2. Let emotion guide your rhythm. Every tone you release is a feeling you allow yourself to express. When you suppress emotion to maintain control, your English becomes lifeless. When you let feeling flow through your words, rhythm happens automatically. Your voice rises and falls naturally. You emphasize words without thinking. But to release that emotion, you'll have to face something uncomfortable, hearing your own voice clearly. You avoid listening to yourself because it sounds wrong, awkward, or embarrassing. Most learners hate hearing recordings of their English. That's not how I sound in my head. But that resistance is actually growth knocking at your door. This is habit 3. Record yourself regularly. Start with just 30 seconds. Talk about your day, describe a photo, or answer a simple question. Then listen, not to judge yourself, but to notice patterns. Do you rush? Do you pause mid-word? Does your voice drop at the end of sentences? Recording yourself isn't vanity or narcissism. It's awareness. You can't fix what you can't hear. Most learners improve faster after 1 week of daily recordings than after months of practice without feedback. And this awareness leads perfectly into the next habit, storytelling. Natives even gossip like poets. They don't just report facts, they create tiny narrative arcs. Listen to a native describing their day. So I'm waiting for the bus, right? And this guy sits down next to me with the biggest pizza I've ever seen. I'm talking absolutely massive, and he just starts eating it. No box, no napkins, just going at it. Notice the structure, setup, emotional buildup, and release. This is habit 4, speak in stories, not statements. Even simple updates become mini narratives with a beginning, a moment of interest, and a conclusion. Instead of "I was late today," try "You won't believe what happened. My alarm didn't go off. I rushed out the door and then realized I grabbed my roommate's keys instead of mine." Give your listener a shape to follow, not just facts. But even compelling stories fall flat without the next element. You fear silence, so you rush through sentences without breathing. Pauses feel like failures, like you've forgotten what to say or revealed your lack of fluency. So you fill every gap with words, speaking faster and faster until you're breathless. But watch confident native speakers during important moments. They pause, frequently, deliberately. This is habit 5, use pauses for power, not just breathing. Silence isn't empty, it gives your words gravity and lets your listener absorb what you've said. Pause before important words. The solution is simple. Pause after surprising statements. "I quit my job, pause best decision ever." Pause to show you're thinking, "How do I explain this?" Okay, imagine. Natives who pause strategically sound more intelligent, more confident, and more natural. Once you pause without fear, something fundamental shifts inside you, confidence itself transforms. You think confidence comes from fluency, but you've got it backwards. You tell yourself, "Once I speak perfectly, I'll feel confident." So you study more, practice more, prepare more, waiting for that magical moment when you finally feel ready. But fluency actually grows from confidence, not the other way around. Confident speakers make mistakes and continue without stopping. They use simpler words when complex ones don't come quickly. They laugh at their own errors instead of apologizing repeatedly. This is habit 6. Act fluent first. Your brain will catch up. Stand up straighter when speaking English. Make eye contact. Use gestures. Smile. Your external confidence signals your brain that everything's fine, which actually improves your language processing. You'll find words more quickly when you're relaxed than when you're anxious. But this confidence remains fragile without one vital permission you must grant yourself. You wait for approval, a nod, a smile, a teacher's grade, confirmation that you've spoken correctly. You monitor your listener's face constantly, searching for signs of confusion that might mean you've made an error. You apologize preemptively. "Sorry, my English isn't very good." But natives self-correct while moving forward. They don't stop to seek validation. They say "I mean" or "actually" and continue speaking. They treat mistakes as minor course corrections, not failures. This is habit 7. Give yourself permission to sound unfinished. Natural speech is messy. It includes false starts, self-corrections, and incomplete thoughts. "I was thinking we could." No, wait, better idea. That's not a flaw. That's how humans actually talk. Stop waiting for permission from others to sound natural. You give yourself that permission right now. And that's where your real identity as an English speaker begins to show through the language. You've been performing English, not living it. You put on a different personality when speaking English, someone more careful, more formal, more hesitant than your real self. In your native language, you're funny, quick-witted, warm, or passionate. In English, you become a cautious stranger to yourself. But true fluency is when the language bends to your personality, not when your personality shrinks to fit the language. Stop asking, "Do I sound native?" That's the wrong question. Instead ask, "Do I sound like me?" Can people hear your humor? Your warmth? Your energy? Native-like English means bringing your authentic self into the language, not copying someone else's personality. You're not trying to become British or American or Australian. You're trying to become yourself in English. But one deeply ingrained cultural habit still holds many learners back from that authentic expression. You overpolish every sentence, terrified of giving offense or seeming rude. Your culture might value indirect communication, careful phrasing, and elaborate courtesy. So in English, you add extra pleases and "if you don't minds" and "I was wonderings" until your sentences become exhausting. But here's the paradox. In English-speaking cultures, warmth lives in tone and body language, not phrasing. A direct "can you help me?" said with a smile feels warmer than an overpolite. "I was wondering if perhaps you might possibly be able to assist me," said stiffly. Polite doesn't mean distant in English. It means emotionally honest, matching your tone to your actual feelings. You can disagree, ask directly, or decline invitations without elaborate explanations. The magic is in how you say it, not the decorative words you wrap around it. And emotional honesty unlocks your humor, your natural timing, and your full humanity in English. Your real personality disappears when you switch to English. All your quirks, your sense of humor, your unique way of seeing the world, they get lost in translation. You become generic. But here's what changes everything. You don't need to copy natives. You need to translate yourself into English. Bring your quirks. If you're naturally sarcastic, find how sarcasm works in English. If you love wordplay, discover English puns. If you tell stories with dramatic pauses, do that in English too. Bring your rhythm. Some cultures speak quickly and passionately. Others speak slowly and thoughtfully. Both can sound natural in English, just with different energy. Bring your laughter, your facial expressions, your hand gestures. That's what sounds genuinely natural, not perfect imitation of natives, but perfect expression of yourself through English words. Now you'll finally be able to see your real progress, which looks different than you might expect. You think you're not improving because you can't measure it with tests or grades. You want clear proof. Last month I knew 5,000 words, now I know 6,000. But real progress feels like ease, not accumulation. Notice when you stop translating in your head before speaking. Notice when you laugh at an English joke without analyzing why it's funny. Notice when you dream in English or think in English during your daily activities. Notice when English stops being something you use, like a tool, and becomes something you are in certain contexts. That's the transformation. You're not becoming a native speaker. You're becoming a natural speaker, someone who expresses themselves authentically through English. So how do you carry that ease from practice moments into real conversations with actual native speakers? That's the challenge that tests everything you've learned. Your natural voice fades when you're in front of natives. Suddenly, all your practice disappears. You freeze, overthink, and revert to careful, mechanical speech. The pressure of the real moment erases your progress. But here's the truth. Safe. Daily micro-moments create lasting fluency, not big performances. You don't need to give presentations or attend conversation clubs, though those help. Try one habit a day in tiny, fearless bursts. Today, practice speaking with emotion while ordering coffee. Tomorrow, tell a 30-second story to a coworker. Next day, use a deliberate pause during a meeting. Small, repeated actions rewire your brain more effectively than occasional intense study sessions. Each micro-moment builds neural pathways. Each tiny risk expands your comfort zone slightly. After weeks of these small moments, big conversations become easier naturally. And soon, English culture itself starts to make sense, not just the language but the thinking behind it. You speak English words but think in your culture's rhythm and logic. Your native language might build ideas differently, circling around the point before reaching it, or stating conclusions before explanations. English speakers typically prefer front-loading their main point. "We need to cancel the meeting. Here's why." Your culture might consider direct refusals rude. English speakers often say, "I can't make it," without elaborate excuses. These aren't just language differences. They're cultural frameworks that shape how thoughts become sentences. English rhythm mirrors English mindset, relatively relaxed, fairly direct, and lightly humorous even in serious contexts. You don't need to abandon your cultural values, but feel the culture beneath the words. Notice how natives structure thoughts. Understand the flow, not to imitate blindly, but to understand why certain phrases feel natural to them. And when you feel that cultural flow, something deeper unlocks, a moment many learners describe as the click. Every learner waits for the day it finally clicks, when English stops feeling foreign and starts feeling possible. That moment arrives differently for everyone. For some, it's suddenly understanding a fast conversation without strain. For others, it's making a native speaker laugh with a joke. For many, it's that first time they argue in English, expressing frustration or passion fluently because emotion overrode self-consciousness. The click isn't actually a moment of learning something new. It's a moment of permission to belong. It's when your brain stops treating English as foreign language mode and accepts it as another way I can be myself. All those habits, speaking for intention, letting emotion guide rhythm, recording yourself, telling stories, using pauses, acting confident, giving yourself permission, they all align in that moment. And what follows is your new voice, distinctly yours, expressed through English words. Who will you be when English feels like breathing? Picture yourself a year from now. You're in a conversation with native speakers. You're not translating in your head or monitoring your grammar. You're not performing or trying to impress anyone. You're simply present, responding naturally, laughing genuinely, expressing your thoughts as they form. You disagree with someone in English without anxiety. You tell a story in English with your natural timing and humor. You make small talk in English without rehearsing phrases. This journey never ends because language evolves and you evolve, but comfort replaces fear. Expression replaces translation. A year from now, you won't be translating thoughts into English. You'll be expressing yourself through English. That's the difference. That's the transformation. But there's one last truth that completes everything we've discovered together. After all this, what truly changed? You learned 7 habits. You discovered that speaking naturally requires intention, emotion, self-awareness through recording, storytelling, strategic pauses, confidence before fluency, and self-permission. But the deepest change isn't about sounding native. You didn't just learn to sound more natural in English. You became more yourself, more willing to be imperfect, more aware of your voice and presence, more confident in expressing who you actually are. English became the mirror that showed you your own personality more clearly. So here's your challenge. Choose 1 or 2 habits from today's lesson. Not all 7, that's overwhelming. Pick the ones that resonated most strongly. Practice them daily for just 2 minutes. Record yourself using those habits. Notice what changes. Transformation isn't learned through memorization. It's embodied through small, consistent action. Your English is no longer borrowed from textbooks or teachers or natives you're trying to copy. It's yours.